Batman Hush, once only an epic comic book story arc, originally published in 2002 and now regarded as one of Batman's most iconic and heavy-hitting storyline entries, has now been brought to life in an all-new animated film. What's up, Rad Lads? Adrian Aye here, and on today's Radioactive review, we're covering the all-new animated film, Batman Hush. Sharing the same name as the comic, this film is the 13th installment in the DC animated movie universe and premiered at San Diego Comic-Con 2019. The story is a retelling of the events that took place during the original comic book run, with a few key changes made in order to incorporate it into the existing DC AMU. This includes the inclusion of Damian Wayne, Batman's current Robin and Bruce Wayne's biological son, who back in 2002 wasn't even a thing. But with Damian being such an integral part of the DC AMU now, there was just no way he wasn't going to give his 2 cents when finding out about his dad's questionable dating prospects. Being a major Bat fan myself, I definitely read the original comics a few times over, and though I found the differences in the iterations to be noticeable, it still made for a compelling mystery that's going to have first-timers and Batman aficionados at the edge of their seats as the story of Hush unfolds. The film stars Jason O'Mara, returning as the Caped Crusader, this film being his 10th go at the role as the Dark Knight. He's no Kevin Conroy, but he gets the job done. He's joined by Jennifer Morrison, who I may have had the smallest little crush when I marathoned 4 seasons of Once Upon a Time back in 2014 for whatever reason. It was a different time. Forget about that, Adrian. That was a different Adrian. She's taking on the role of Catwoman, making it her first appearance in the DC AMU. The Batcat subplot is one of the highlights of Hush, capturing a glimpse at the complicated, sexually tense relationship between the two characters. Batman gets to fall in love. He gets, a few smooches. At some point during the film, I was definitely like, attaboy. Because, let's face it, Batman doesn't get a lot of love. I mean, his fandom loves him, but, there's Talia al Ghul, there's Catwoman, there's a list, but what I mean is, it's always mission with Batman, and not enough, moments like these. I will say though, O'Mara and Morrison didn't quite have the chemistry I was looking for when I think about these two characters. There just wasn't enough passion and intensity in their relationship. Another notable character introduced early on is world-renowned brain surgeon and Bruce Wayne's childhood friend, Thomas Elliot. Comic fans will recognize the name right away, but we'll talk about why in a little bit. One of the awesome things about this movie is that we're treated to so many appearances of the Bat Fam, but even more appearances of Batman's Rogues Gallery. We're talking Bane, Poison Ivy, the Riddler, Harley Quinn, the Joker, and way more. The original comics definitely featured a lot of these characters, but they're definitely here for us to geek over. But for Batman, it doesn't take him long to figure out that something is up in Gotham. What I love about Batman Hush is that it takes Batman through the ringer. Hush is such a formidable foe that he actually almost gets Batman to break his code. Look at this man's eyes. The pacing of the movie is really solid. It's able to take this large ensemble of characters and fit it in 80 minutes nicely. Rarely did I feel like the movie dragged, which is something nice to say about a DC movie. Hey, you did something right. Noteworthy scenes that are definitely worth mentioning are the Batman versus Poison Ivy controlled Superman, which is just so much fun to watch just every time, and it's definitely been one of the best Batman versus Superman fights we've seen in a long time. Get that garbage out of here. Do wish they put a little bit more of an emphasis on that haymaker that Batman gifted Superman, but beggars can't be choosers. And Batman beating the ever-living life out of the Joker. I mean, he was so close. It was kind of scary seeing the Dark Knight like that. So the story does take an unexpected shift back to the Bat-Cat subplot after all the adrenaline rush that we get from Batman trying to figure out who Hush is. Which, I wish it was a little more fluid. It just felt very forced in, but I guess it definitely felt like the writers were trying to bring more emphasis to the relationship before going into the third arc, which, yeah, I guess makes sense. Whatever. What was pretty dope was we got an awesome montage of the power couple fighting together. A fanboy's dream. which actually leads to a very steamy shower scene that I will not be including because I don't want to get demonetized. Okay, fine. Act 3 will have the main plot lines converge as Hush's identity is revealed. And for someone who's read the story before, it totally caught me by surprise. I was shook after finding out his identity. And just keep watching. Readers of Batman Hush are definitely going to go in expecting very confidently what's about to happen. And I promise you, it is not what you think. There's no way I can talk about this next scene without going into spoilers. So spoilers one more time. There's so many spoilers. Spoilers. Ahead. You've been warned. It turns out in this retelling of the story, Thomas Elliot isn't Hush at all. The Riddler, who was diagnosed with cancer in his brain and had a failed procedure with Thomas Elliot, said he wasn't gonna die. He uses the power of the Lazarus Pit to save himself, and at the same time figures out the identity of Batman while simultaneously coming up with a new plan to get revenge against him and all the other rogues that called him a C-lister, like I did earlier. He creates and dons the persona of Hush, making this a complete subversion of my expectations, and I'm sure a ton of you viewers. My mind was blown after that. Maybe if I had never read the comic books before, it wouldn't have been such a shock, but expecting the entire movie for it to be the guy that they introduced within the first 5 minutes of the movie, only for it not to be that guy at all. You're playing with my emotions, Batman Hush. You're playing with my emotions. The final act closes out pretty quickly after this, which was a little bit of a letdown, but you know, at this point in the movie, it was such a great ride. Let's just let it ride. Batman makes quick work of Rush, you see what I did there? And though he was a really challenging adversary at the beginning of this story, after his true identity is revealed, it doesn't take long for the Batman to make quick work of him. Batman uses the Riddler's insecurities, which is, I feel like, basically what he does every time he ever fights the Riddler, and he makes quick work of him, which, you know, it's just a little disappointing. That's just... it could have been a little cooler there in that department. In the final moments, the Riddler, who he's the Riddler again. Let's just face it. You're not even cool anymore. You were cool as Hush. You're no longer cool. The Riddler comes pretty close to a fiery death, but you know the Batman's not gonna let that happen. He does everything he can to try to save him, but when Selina sees that he's gonna die too in the process, she cuts the line and gets the Batman the hell out of there. The story ends on a little bit of a down note. They stare at the fiery warehouse, and Catwoman figures out that Batman's code is everything to him. She can't live with that. So she bails, leaving Batman alone with his code and his vices, thus concluding the story of Hush. That was crazy! Honestly, that was awesome. I loved it. It was awesome. Any good Batman movie definitely gets me pumped. And I'll definitely watch it probably 6 more times this week. But I really enjoyed this movie. I remember so vividly those comic books in my head. And when I saw that they had just updated, the visuals so that they matched the current DCAMU, what could I say? I don't hate that art style. I just like Jim Lee's super awesome designs better. Batman Hush is on my personal top 10, and it was my first introduction to Jim Lee, who I follow on Instagram. He's super cool. You should follow me on Instagram. With Thomas Elliot not playing as big of a role in this movie, we didn't get all those classic flashbacks. That's one thing to note when Bruce takes Tommy's death so hard. Even though you know that they're childhood friends, you don't really see it developed in the movie. The main focus was Batman and Catwoman. We don't get to see all those cool flashback scenes, which I felt would have added a really sweet element to the movies if we could have seen those scenes animated. Though the reveal of Hush's identity is a bit divisive for some fans, I still felt that it made for a tighter story to fit in a movie. I was surprised to be surprised at a story that I already knew, and I feel like appreciating that will definitely make for a better watching experience. Overall, I'm happy and quite satisfied with the DCAMU's interpretation of Batman Hush, and I'm giving this movie 4 batarangs out of 5. Now make this movie again. I've seen this movie, but make it again. More of this. Thanks for checking out this Radioactive review. Your Radioactive review for shows, movies, and video games. If you like our channel and want to support us, please like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps us with the YouTube algorithm and helps us become a bigger channel overall. Also, follow us on social media. Let us know what you think. What do you guys want us to cover? Add us if you want. If you're mad at something I said in this, at me. Don't even leave it in the DMs. Just at me. I'm your host, Adrian Aye. Later.